All right, so to create our earrings today, we're going to be using some 20 gauge vintage bronze dead soft craft wire. I'm also going to be using some head pins that have the ball on the end and a pair of ear wires that match. And I'm also going to be using these birch sleeves, and now these are in gold and these are in antique bronze, and I'll explain why I did that. I'm also going to be using 3 different kinds of bead caps. I have the little teeny tiny ones that I use quite often. I have sort of a middle size one, and then I have these raw, I think they're called raw pendant caps. And I'm going to be using 3 different kinds of check glass. I have these beautiful cobalt Picasso 6x9 rondelles. I have these little 4mm cobalt Picasso drooks, and then these gorgeous dahlia beads that are sort of they're a transparent blue. And let's see, what have I got on the, what does it actually say? It's a slate blue with a gold wash, and these are 14mm, and these just all pair together so nicely. And for tools, we're going to be using our cutters, our bent chain nose pliers, our round nose pliers, and our chain nose pliers. And we're also going to be using a pair of wire straighteners. All right, so let's get started. All right, so I've removed half of the ingredients here just so we don't have so much on the table. It gets a little busy sometimes. So now I'm just going to cut my wire, and I'm going to cut about 7 inches. I always find it's easier to have a little bit more than a little bit less. Now I'm going to take my chain nose pliers, and I just run my fingers down the wire just to make sure it's nice and straight. Now at the halfway point, I'm going to put my fingers there, and just above there, I'm going to put my pliers, and I'm going to use my thumb to bend away and create a nice sharp 90-degree angle. Now I'm going to come in with my round nose pliers, and I only want to come down to the bottom here. I don't need a really big loop, and I'm going to go up and over and straight down, rotate my pliers so they're parallel to the table, and then pull that tail straight to the back. And then I just kind of check to make sure that we've got that sort of stop sign sort of thing. All right, now I want to put on my little leaf before I go any further. I want it to be this way when I'm wearing the earrings, so I'm going to turn it over so it's the back part. And this is kind of a little tip that if you start from the back, when you pop it through here and then do it up, it will be laying in the right direction. So now I'm going to come across that loop. I'm going to wrap down twice, and then I'm going to come back up, and I'm just going to have that bit of a bulky wrap. I just want to make sure that's nice and neat. And then I'm going to come in with the flush side of my cutters and give that a little trim. Always hold on to that little piece. Okay, and then if that burr needs to be tucked down at all, we just come in with the end of our cutters or our pliers and give that a little push down. You just want to kind of feel it, make sure that it's not sharp at all. So that's what we've got happening so far. All right, so now I'm going to put on my check glass dahlia flower and seat that on there. And then now I'm going to put on my raha pendant. So when you put that on, you will notice that there's a bit of a gap. You see how there's a gap there? So what I want to do is take my pliers here. You just want to have something that isn't going to scratch up metal. So whether it is the wire straighteners or it's a pair of pliers where you've taken some painter's tape or something like that just to wrap around it so that it doesn't scratch, anything that you want will work. Just make sure that you've got something that isn't going to scratch up your metal. So I'm just going to gently put that on top, and I'm not going to push very much. You're not even going to probably be able to see it, but I'm going to just push a bit using equal pressure on both sides of my hand there. And it just kind of closed it a little bit. So now when I put that on there, it just seats in there perfectly. So I love how that gives that little encasement. All right, so now we are going to put on our middle-sized bead cap, and then our 6x9 rondelle, and then our little tiny bead cap, and that just kind of gives it a little bit of a crown. Okay, so now I am going to turn this so that it is going sideways. I need to have my loop on the top a little bit different or opposite to the one that I had on the bottom. So I'm just going to bend away, and I'm going to come in with the front of my round nose pliers and go up and over and straight down, rotate, and pull that straight to the back, and just make sure that's standing up there. So that might mean pulling that down a little bit. Okay, now I'm going to wrap this up. So I'm going to go down a couple and then work my way back up. So I'll just take the end of that wire, and if it's not working with your finger, just grab hold of it with your pliers and give that a good strong tug. All right, so now I'm going to come in with my cutters and give that a little trim. And then just make sure that little burr is not sticking out. That one looks pretty good, but I'm going to give it just a little tiny bit of a squish. And then just kind of assess everything, and that looks really nice there. All right, so I'm just going to finish my embellishing here, but you may be wondering why I've used the different color of metals. Well, when I started to make this, I really did not like it in all gold. It just looked really garish and just kind of cheap and not very nice at all. So I tried silver, and that looked worse. I tried antique silver, it was horrible, and antique copper just did not work at all. So then when I switched to the antique bronze, it just kind of made the whole thing come to life, and it just kind of muted everything and worked perfectly. So don't be afraid to kind of mix your metals a little bit and come up with something that you really like. So I'm going to take my head pin and I'm going to put my little jerk on there, and I'm going to come down to the front of my pliers. Now I happen to have a pair of pliers that have a really tiny nose like that. If yours don't, then just come to the front of your round nose pliers because they have a pretty small little end there, and push away. You might find that easier than trying to bend it over with your thumbnail like I often do. So I don't need a very large loop on here, so I'm going to go up and over and down, rotate, and bring that straight to the back. And then I am going to just dangle this on the front of that loop where we put the birch leaf. And I'm going to do that up. And I'm just going to wrap down a couple times just to get that neck covered. And I don't want to do one of my bulky wraps because these head pins can be really stiff. So it's just too much effort for me today. So we're just going to trim that off. Now, when you are tucking this little burr down, you've got to be careful because this is a glass bead and you could crack it. So you just want to push very gently. And if you're worried about it, just leave it because nobody's going to notice. Okay, so now I'm going to make sure I have the front of my earring here. Yeah, that is my front. And I'm going to pop my ear wire on, and then I'm going to close that up. And then I am going to make my second pair off camera, and I'll be right back. So there you go. There's the completed pair. I'm really loving the vintage bronze mixed with the antique gold. I think it gives it a really nice old world look, and I think they just really turned out so pretty. Now, as always, these are available in a kit form, and you just go into the description box below the video or go to www.kelliesbeadboutique.com and look for the kit. And I believe I have called these ones the Delilah earrings. So you just type in Delilah or just going down into earrings and you should be able to find them there, or use the link in the description box. So I hope you enjoyed this video. It was fun to get back to it. I have had no time to create anything lately, so I'm trying really hard to make this a weekly thing again. Make sure to subscribe to my channel. Give me a like if you enjoyed the video, and please leave a comment, as I do love to hear from everybody. I want to thank you so much for watching, and we will see you on the next one.